Hey everybody, Nigel here from thegroundfloormusician.com, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I think gets overlooked a lot during the recording phase, and that's this tendency to leave the sounds that we want to capture primarily for the editing and mixing phases of music production. And what I think you'll find actually is that the more you know about the type of sound that you want to capture and the more that you try to capture that during the actual recording phase, the less work you're going to have to do further down the road, and actually the better the track will probably end up sounding, because it's already the most ideal version of the sound that you were going for anyway. I know that this isn't always possible, depending on the instrument that you're recording, or the limitations you have on the space that you're working in. But just keep in mind that this is something to think about, and especially for instruments that tend to be very, very ambience heavy, like the drums, and the example that I'm going to be using today, of a drum recording that was recorded in a train tunnel actually nearby where I live. And the benefit of this is really that we have the sound now that we wanted to capture before we even have to go and touch it later. And it'll really be a big time saver later on, because there's this tendency to, because we have such powerful digital tools available to us these days, there's a tendency to kind of leave things. And I want to show you that you don't have to do that. And if you have an idea for the sound that you want to capture, you should really just go out and get that, because you'll probably find it much easier to work with later on. All right? Okay, so just before we get into the actual drumming, I just wanted to talk a little bit about where we are. As you can see, we're kind of in a pretty long tunnel here, and we've got concrete walls kind of surrounding us, and what we're going to get is like a really nice diffusion, a really nice reverb, and the sound is going to kind of pan around for that really big, larger-than-life kit sound. So when you can probably hear the ambience of my voice right now, and that's going to be affected on the whole kit when we actually mic it up and get to recording. So let's go try that. Okay, so I'm standing behind the mic right now. I've got Jake at the drum kit, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about what's going on right here. As you can see, we've got 4 mics on the kit. We've got 2 condenser microphones on either side of the kit. This is actually called the Glyn Johns method. You don't really need to know what that means right now, but he was a pretty famous audio and recording guy. He worked with bands like the Beatles and Led Zeppelin, so some pretty big names. And what we've also got is a couple close mics on the snare drum and the bass drum. On the snare, we've got an SM57, which is a dynamic mic, and we've got an SM58 in the actual head of the bass drum. And that's also a dynamic microphone. So that just is going to allow us to better capture the high volume levels that we're going to have when we're near the kit that close. So I'm going to get Jake to play so you can just hear the whole ambience. And then I'll come back to you once we've recorded all of the tracks, and you can get a feel for how the whole kit sounds. All right, so go ahead, Jake. All right, so that's pretty exciting. I like the ambience of that. It's going to sound pretty cool. So we're going to get those recordings done, and I'll come back to you in a bit. Okay, so we're back in Logic 10 now, and hopefully you have a better idea of what I was talking about in terms of the setup and the space and the sound that we were going for in general. And now I just want to show you what those recordings sound like after they went through the microphones and the interface and all that sort of stuff. Because although it sounded very, very reverbed in the actual tunnel when I was making the video, what you'll notice is that it sounds a little bit more controlled now because of the way that we put the mics and how we actually mic the kit. So we use that to our advantage as well. Keep in mind that these tracks, other than being edited slightly for timing issues, have not been touched or processed in any way. If you'll notice here, I've got no inserts or anything like that, no EQ or compression or anything like that on the channel strips themselves. So we've got 4 takes here. They were recorded simultaneously on the interface that was, I believe it was in the shot earlier, maybe it wasn't. But yeah, so we've got our overhead that was on top of the kit, overhead on the side, Those were the two condenser mics. And then we had our two dynamics, the one in the kick and the one on the snare. So let's take a listen to that and see how the whole kit sounds. So you notice right there, you can hear exactly what I'm talking about. You can hear that that big reverby, tunnely sound where the kit just carries and it just sounds big and nice. And that's going to sit really well in the mix. So, you know, we had an idea of how we wanted it to sound. We knew where we could get that sound and we went out and got it. And I mean, really, that's all that I mean by starting with the source. Think about how you want things to sound at the end. And if you can do something about that now, why not go out and record it? It saves you so much trouble during the editing and the mixing phases, and it's probably and usually going to be a better sounding, more ideal version of the sound that you're going for anyway. I mean, you could spend, you know, God knows how much time working within your program, and it's not that it's not a powerful tool, and it's not that you still can't get great results with the digital reverb within your DAW, but you know, why go through that trouble if you know, you can just get the sound you want beforehand, right? So just to give you an idea of how, you know, recording it within a room would sound, we also did a dry recording that we're probably going to blend to some degree, maybe not, with this reverb kit that we recorded in the station. So I'll let you hear. The difference is night and day. See, so I listen to that and it doesn't excite me at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, you could probably make it sound better, like I said. And this is really just for clarity and punch that we're going to blend with the kit once we have a better idea of where everything's going to sit in the mix. But, you know, this to me is much more exciting and much more the sound that, you know, we were hearing in our heads to begin with. So we went out and we got that. And this applies to anything. You know, it could be guitar, it could be, you know, violin, it could be, you know, even vocals. And I mean, especially vocals, depending on how you want them to sit. I know plenty of people who do vocals in places like that, especially background vocals, where they just want the ambience to be immediately there for the vocals. So again, right, you know, you don't have to limit yourself to just drums or anything like that. It's about identifying the sound that you want and figuring out the best way to capture that sound in the first place before you ever have to edit or mix it. All right, so I hope that helps, and we'll see you next time. Take care.